It is my view that the Department of Local Government and Women's Settlement should review the manner in which they have applied Section 139 in municipalities. Is the resolution of this House, honorable members. Over the years, our municipalities have been put under administration, but there is no improvement. Perhaps we should demand that the MEC should report to the legislature on steps taken to assist and capacitate municipalities in fulfilling their constitutional and legislative obligations. It cannot be that municipalities are not performing, then the department is performing. That means the department is also not performing. As much as that means we are also not doing our work. It seems to me that government has not fully appreciated and exploited the provision of Section 139(1) when it says, when a municipality cannot or does not fulfill an executive obligation in terms of the constitution or legislation, the relevant provincial executive may intervene by taking any appropriate steps to ensure fulfillment of that obligation. Committees of the legislature must begin to ask difficult questions on what, when, how, why are we in this situation, and take all those involved to task. I'm saying this, honorable members, and I'm speaking about local government. You have seen the Friede report. The legislature of Free State is being blamed of what happened in Friede. You might not know, honorable members, we are being blamed as the legislature for Section 100. So we must not allow it to happen again. We are being blamed for Section 100. That means we are not doing our part. So we cannot allow it to happen again. Madam Deputy Speaker, we are committed to setting high accountability and oversight standards, having learned from the mistakes of the past. We carry with us a clear mandate of renewed hope to ensure that the promises made to our people are delivered in time and are of good quality, not just quantity. As the former Premier Mahuma Pili will say, challenges are a necessary platform for success. We are resolute that we shall leave no stone unturned in making sure that our limited resources are channeled towards service delivery, job creation and upliftment of our emerging entrepreneurs and SMEs, as set out clearly by the President and the Premier respectively. All members working together with Chapter 9 institutions can help us a long way in mastering the art of holding the executive accountable. These institutions are created to support our democracy and have resources and capacity that we must tap in. All members, as the 6th legislature, we intend to build on strong foundation of work done by those who came before us, sharpen our oversight tools to zoom directly on real issues affecting our people, and to build on capacity on areas where we are still lacking. We are not perfect, honorable members. To this end, we have identified the following areas of focus to strengthen our oversight mechanism: initiation of preparation of bills, enhanced oversight on the implementation of legislation and any provincial organ of state, strengthening public participation. Members of all committees and support staff will be empowered to match the resilience of their counterparts in government. We intend exposing our members and staff to domestic and international conferences and accredited workshops as part of empowering and exposure to best practices and successful forms of effective and efficient oversight. All members, Parliament has solicited funding from the European Union to capacitate and help members to further their studies. There are formal programs arranged with University of Wits and the University of Johannesburg. We encourage members to enroll these programs. They not only sharpen our skills, but give members some form of recognition. And on this part, honorable members, we wish to congratulate Honorable Sambata in absentia for attaining his postgraduate diploma in public governance and leadership through this initiative. And I'm fully aware that some of the honorable members in this House have also joined the program. Unfortunately, the program can be rejoined after 2 years for them to do their own masters. But new members are welcome to start with the certificate. Honorable members, we are also intending to roll out training and development for members on a quarterly basis. Topics for these programs will be carefully identified to address the gaps in our knowledge to improve our skills. Key focus will be on building capacity on oversight, monitoring, and evaluation. On those quarterly programs, honorable members, If possible and if necessary, we will invite former members, because we know where they are skilled, to come and assist and empower us. On learnership, honorable members, the legislature is in the process of undertaking a learnership program targeting the disadvantaged and unemployed youth, specifically orphans in the Northwest Province. It will empower the orphaned youth with a relevant qualification in the stream of leadership and procurement. It will benefit learners in a way that they will exit with NQF level 5. The learnership will be a year-long program. We are in discussions with municipalities within the province to provide workplace learning and mentor learners. 50 learners will benefit from this initiative. Honourable members, accountability, monitoring and evaluation should start from our constituencies and cascade up into our parliamentary work. In this regard, I want to encourage all members, irrespective of political party, because our constituency offices are in a way of where you belong. I get it. But I just want to encourage all of you and all members to take our constituency work very much serious. Honorable Theologo is #1 in doing that for the past 5 years. All her statements, motions, right from her constituency, Honorable Theologo. He's an opposition, must clap hands for her. We shall say no to only being involved when damage has been already done and as that shows weaknesses on their part. We had a very good experience, honorable members, when we were building the new wing, that the oversight indeed it assists. The portfolio, the Standing Committee on Legislature Affairs, we're doing oversight in that building every month without fail. Yes, Honorable Matsemela, Honorable Skete, every month, every quarter, will insist that all members of the portfolio committee must do oversight in that building. It helped us a lot. Any query that the Auditor General picked up, fortunately, you will have a standing committee that has already summoned Ndata Musiani to come and answer. So it's very important, honorable members, that when there are projects, big or small, done by the executive, honorable members of this house must do their oversight, so that we are not told that so much has been spent for a bridge that does not even exist. We should do everything in our power to ensure that government stops all leakages in their system, causing all sorts of wasteful, irregular, fruitless, and unauthorized spending of public money. This includes the legislature, Ndata Musiani. Committees of the legislature expected to exercise greater vigilance on underspending and lack thereof to avoid funding being reallocated to other provinces. The difference between us and the executive is that when we did not spend, the money is ours, it remains in the bank, it accumulates more money. That's the difference between us and the executive. But with the executive, if the money, like it happened in women's settlement, is taken to another province, to Nakolo, it's a loss to the people of Bukono-Buphiri. We must never allow that to happen. Honourable members, in executing our duties, we should be guided by the existing laws, treasury regulations, and framework. We expect members of the legislature to execute their duties with utmost care, due diligence, and without any fear, favor, nor prejudice against anyone whose task is to deliver quality services to the people of Bukono-Buphirima. Tonakolo was very clear in his State of the Province address. He gave us everything. All that he awaits from us is oversight. It's oversight. He gave us plans, what he's intending to do. The Honorable MEC today, obeile madi mo pele ga rona. Se setseng ke mmereko wa rona gore go semelela. We have tabled and referred the House resolution from the 5th legislature, the legacy reports, as well as the recommendations of the High Panel for consideration by committees and report back. We implore on the chairpersons of the committees to ensure that such are prioritized and completed so as we start a new chapter. We must close the chapter of 5th administration, all members. But unfortunately, all members, 5th inaletsa the 6th, the 6th inaletsa the 7th. So it's up to us, honorable members, gore re tsamaye re tabogile. What is important and critical on the issue of the panel? Ke issue ya lefatshe. Ke issue ya di-mine. When the former president, Ntate Kgalema Motlanthe, was in Rustenburg with the panel, many people of Bokoni Bophirima raised the issue of the D account, Tonakgolo, raised the issue of lefatshe, raised the issue of how do they benefit in their mines. As the legislature, we're expected to hold the executive accountable. We're expected to provide answers to our people. The national speaker, if you have listened to her, she has also mentioned that. So, Ralukopa, Tonakgolo, Bakudutamaga, le lona di committee, gore re kopa pegelo as the legislature, e tla respondang to issues raised about the Northwest, Ntate Kgalema. That report must be adopted in this house. But we cannot adopt a report. The executive must give us answers. The issue of the account has been there, I don't know for how long. We must close this chapter of the account. Our members, one of the works started in the 5th administration was to clear the Hansard backlog dating as far as 2016 and to produce Hansard in both English and Setswana. We have made tremendous strides in dealing with this backlog, and our Hansard unit is busy with editing Hansard and transcription of 2018. We are on course to eliminate all backlogs by the end of December 2019. On members, we have identified a gap in the provision of sign language services in our committee meetings. We currently survive on the support we get from government sign language interpreters. Thank you very much. In addressing this matter, we shall soon recruit a high sign language practitioner so that we at least provide such services even at committee level. We are also working in collaboration with PANSAP to improve our interpreting and translation services. We are working towards a new era where member speeches and some important documents can be translated in other languages as dictated by the Provincial Language Act passed by this House. Honourable members, our public participation function needs to be improved to meet the demands of our ever-changing environment. Of immediate attention should be the way we conduct our public hearings when consulting bills and how we deal with petitions. We have over the years been mooting the need to improve our public participation strategy and adopt a more focused and targeted-oriented strategy. On this, honourable members, I am very much pleased. I've received a correspondence and engagement from Honourable Motswana and Honourable Tswaile in the manner in which they would like us to improve in dealing with this matter. In implementing that and their request, Public Participation Unit has been tasked to develop a new public participation strategy, working on the existing framework to make sure that our public hearings are target-oriented, empowering and focused on real issues by relevant audience. This should include finding a new effective, efficient, and expeditious way of dealing with petitions. And I know Honourable Khosho is very much pleased with that. She was always complaining that when you have a bill dealing with transport, you have a public participation meeting, you will have community members asking about roads, water, housing, nothing about the bill. So we are trying to improve that, Honourable. We currently hold 22 sectoral parliaments across the province. What is not clear is the impact of these sectoral parliaments to our work. We need to improve on the quality of debates and inputs in these events and not just appreciate the attendance of participants. An assessment on the work done thus far is needed so as to inform us on the correct number of sectoral parliaments we should have on a yearly basis. Reports have been tabled and referred to the Standing Committee on Oversight of the Legislature Affairs, and I know they have not yet dealt with it. I don't know why. Honourable members, the extension of the East Wing has been completed and handed over in November 2018. I have, however, hastened to report that due to its completion earlier than expected, there has been some unexpected delays in the procurement and installation of key security information communication and technology, the ICT components, as well as furniture. The matter is receiving attention, and the Secretary to the Legislature has since advised me that furniture for members has already been procured, and delivery is expected in the next 8 weeks. The procurement of ICT components is also reported to be at an advanced stage, and all systems should be operational in due course. Our members, the second phase of this building project is the refurbishment of the chamber. The project is already at procurement stage and will commence in the third quarter of financial year. The project is expected to be completed in 2021-22. If all goes according to plan, there are no delays. This will be done even earlier than that. This project entails increasing the capacity of our public gallery, public museum, VIP lounge, chapel, and many other things. You will remember and agree with me, honorable members, that during the SOPA, we are trying to save funds. The SOPA was here in the legislature. Many members were complaining that, Speaker, why are you giving us 2, 3 guests? It's because of the capacity of the gallery. So the renovation of this chamber will deal with that issue and will assist. You can see some of us, when it's summer, you are sweating. When it's winter, you are getting cold. There are beds everywhere, you know. We can't live in that situation. But thank you very much, Honorable MEC is willing to intervene in that regard. All members, the Northwest Provincial Legislature is a member in good standing of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and we actively participate to this association both in Africa and international. We'll soon be launching the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association branch and the Commonwealth Women chapter. We also relate very well with the Association of Public on the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. My members on the left, EFF, they are not members. They don't participate. I've received a letter in the last administration from the National Secretary that the EFF don't participate on any matter related to Commonwealth. So when I'm saying all, it must exclude the EFF. It must be noted, honorable members. We also relate very well with the Association of Public Accounts Committees. Our Standing Committee on Provincial Public Accounts do participate in their conferences from time to time. Like now, in the next week or so, Honorable Liso will be leading a delegation to Namibia to attend their conference. Our members, the legislature has an allocation of 486,864,000 rands, which is allocated into 3 main programs. The Northwest Provincial Legislature's budget allocation comprises of 2 sources of funding, namely equitable share, and I've explained the other revenue, how we make our revenue through the monies that we did not use. They'll be there in the bank, then we'll have our own money. The Northwest Provincial Legislature is subdivided into 3 main divisions as follows. Administration, 285,499,000 rand. Statutory payments, 33,837,000 rand. Legislature operations, 167,528,000 rand. Honourable members, last portion of the legislature budget is on program 1, administration, which is allocated an amount of 285,499,000. On the document that has been printed, there's an error there. Please add 1,000 for 2019-20 financial year. Included in this allocation is a budget for infrastructure project, which amounts to 81,606,000 rands. This includes the refurbishment of the chamber, national key point, security upgrades, as well as maintenance and repairs. Honourable members, it is imperative for this House to know that allocation for this program declined by 71 million rand from 2018-19, adjusted allocation of 356 million as a result of a decline in the infrastructure budget. This, Madam Speaker, is due to the completion of the East Wing building. So decline here, honourable members, is as a result the East Wing is completed. So members must not be confused. Program 2, statutory payments, which caters for member salaries, is allocated an amount of 33,837,000 rand. The allocation shows an increase of 9% from the 2018-19 allocation of 31,155,000 rand. The growth is enough to cater for the increase in the remuneration of members that will probably be proclaimed by the President. You know, on this one, all members, in 2017, the EFF refused to adopt the budget of the legislature. And the President had already proclaimed salary increases. In the afternoon, I received many calls from EFF, SMSs. Madam Speaker, when are we getting our increment? How do we get increment? Honorable Yale can bear witness to that. They wanted an increment. The Northwest Provincial Legislature, as an arm of government, is mandated to do lawmaking and to exercise oversight on the operations of the executive. The legislature is allocated a total of 486,864,000 rand only in the 2019-20 financial year to conduct oversight to a provincial budget of 44 billion 28,547,000 rands. Honorable members, how is it possible for members to run around through the province and do oversight over the executive when they are not well resourced? They fight with me. They need money every day. They must do oversight. When there's a request, I reject. They fight with me, these honorable members. But it's unfortunate. It is imperative to know that the allocation for the Northwest Provincial Legislature make up only 1.1% of the total provincial fiscal framework. But honorable members, Honorable Khosho will agree with me. You'll remember Honorable Khosho is the former member, is the former deputy speaker. So she's understanding better what I'm reporting to. Will agree with me that the legislature is underfunded and will be willing to engage further on this matter as required by FAMPLA. The Act says the MEC of Finance and the Speaker must engage. And I'm happy, Honorable former Deputy Speaker, the current MEC for Finance is in agreement that we must engage so that members are empowered to do their work properly. We will need more funding to implement the new organizational structure, the shortfall on the legislature budget, and the outstanding funding for the full implementation. What we don't know, honorable member, that is so painful, it pains me every day. Researchers of the Northwest Provincial Legislature are underpaid as compared to their counterparts in all legislature and parliament. And I'm happy that benchmark report was done by the former chairperson of local government, Mme Motlalepule Khosho. She was the one. Honorable Khosho, members of staff are complaining. Can you do a benchmark study? She gave me back a report. Indeed, it's so painful. Our researchers are not getting paid. So how do we expect them to assist members? It's not easy. The secretary of this legislature, Ntate Musiani, is underpaid. He's earning less than all other secretaries of the legislatures. But that one is we are part of our own making. You can't have 10 executives, you can't have 3 secretaries. In terms of the new structure, we are trying to correct our structure so that when Honorable Khosho is dealing with researchers, now we do our part at the same time to minimize and reduce waste not necessary in our structure. We are meeting you halfway, Honorable MEC. You have seen the first Deputy Secretary, over 60 years, we have not advertised that position, all members. It's because we don't need it anymore. You can't have 3 secretaries. Our legislature is too small for 3 secretaries. In conclusion, honorable members, I wish to thank you for all the support you showed me over the years and hope we'll continue to work together in peace and harmony as one family. My special words of gratitude to those who stood by me when the chips were down, those who saw the good in me and overlooked my weaknesses. I know that difficulties and sufferings can make one want to give up and throw oneself a pity party. But as a goal-oriented person, I wish to talk boldly like Apostle Paul in the book of Philippians chapter 3, verse 12 to 14. Not that I have already attained or am already perfected. I'm not perfect. But I press on that I may lay hold of that which Christ Jesus has also laid hold of me, close quote. Members, I do not count myself to have apprehended. But one thing I do is forging those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. What has been? That's been the idea. So I'll remain focused because that's been. I press towards the goal for prize of the upward call of God in Jesus Christ. I also wish to thank my family for the overwhelming support and the understanding and permission to allow me to serve our people. I cannot just do that. Maspanke ke tlhogo ya lelapa ke motswana yaanong ke batla go mo leboga gore le ga ANC e nthoma e be ke mora ke re papa ANC ya nthoma a ba re batho ma modimo no kwakha ke a go ruma le nna tsa mo ya go direla ANC wa ntle ga nka be a ganneng ke be ke seoga so ke a leboga. My sincere thanks to Honorable Premier Ntate Mokgoro. Bontsi ba nako ra bua ka phone ra bua ka di WhatsApp nna le tona kgolo jaaka go tshwanetse gore go nne yalo. Thank you very much to Nakgolo for your guidance and your support. Bogolo ba gago gongwe bo a thusa le bone ka nako tse dingwe ke a leboga. I also want to thank this opportunity go leboga ba khuduthamaga tota. Re ka tswa re sa simolla sekgala se se telele mare go fitla ga jana ga ke se kutlo go na le ngongora. To members of the provincial legislature, chairpersons of the portfolio committee, starting with the chairperson of the standing committee of the legislature, Honorable Nell, thank you very much for your support. Yourself and the committee, every time when we appear before your standing committee, you might think that you are too hard on us. Tina, we accept. Sometimes you might think that I'm angry, trying to defend this and that. Obviously, I must defend. I'm the leader, I must defend. But honestly, you are assisting a lot. You are helping us to improve, as long as there's nothing personal, but there's something organizational to make legislature a better place for all of us. I also want to thank the presiding officers, the deputy speaker, the chair of chairs. Thank you very much for being there and working together. Indeed, you are a great team. Ke tse tšhono ye go leboga the Chief Whip of the Majority Party for assisting in making sure gore the proceedings di tsamaya pila, the consultations with other parties di tsamaya pila. Thank you very much, honorable members. To the Secretary, Mr. Musiani, my support staff, management, and the entire family of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, ke le rolela hutsi. Thank you very much for all your contributions and hard work, not to mention long hours you put in planning for the smooth transition from the 5th legislature to the 6th legislature. I stretch my revolutionary hands of appreciation to my beloved organization, the African National Congress, for giving me yet another historical moment to lead this institution. I will forever be indebted to this glorious movement. I'm the first speaker in this province to do the second term. I thank that to the African National Congress. Ke a leboga Motlatsa Musa Kgotla.
Go lebogile rona Musa Kgotla. Honorable members, I will now call on the chairperson on the Oversight Committee, Honorable Nell, to lead the debate on the Northwest Provincial Legislature Annual Performance Plan 2019-20 and Budget Vote 2. Honorable Nell, you have 10 minutes to open the debates.
Good afternoon, Madam Deputy Speaker, Madam Speaker, all honourable members. The Standing Committee on Oversight of the Northwest Provincial Legislature. Our duties were to do oversight over the executive, and what we did is we did go through the APPs of the legislature, and we asked some questions. We did get feedback, and I'll get into that now. The deliberations of the committee. The Annual Performance Plan 2019-20 has addressed most of the Northwest Provincial Legislature core objectives. However, the committee has raised the following concerns. 1. The committee raised concerns that Northwest Provincial Legislature management are conducting core business meetings at inconvenient places. The Northwest Provincial Legislature website and legislature policies are outdated. The committee was concerned about the delay of connection of data cables. A clarity was sought on the chamber refurbishment phase 1, including the costed budget and completion date the project was requested. The committee wanted clarity regarding the first consultant as whether the contract is continuing to render services to the Northwest Provincial Legislature, if there is any skills transferred or there is any new consultants appointed to render this service. The committee also wanted to know as to whether the structural organization organogram review report was implemented or not. The Standing Committee had the following recommendations. Number 1, that the report on the infrastructure project, refurbishment of the first phase of the chamber with a costed budget, a report on all reviewed policies. The Northwest Provincial Legislature must brief the committee members on the overall security of the institution, and the Northwest Provincial Legislature website must be updated on a continued basis. Furthermore, which was not contained in this report, as a committee, we also requested a report dealing on the status of the Galowe Parliamentary Village and possible fruitless and wasteful expenditure incurred relating to temporary accommodation of members. This and other mentioned reports we have received as a committee. Unfortunately, we have not had the time frame to discuss that as of yet as a committee, but it has been received and the committee will follow up on that report. I would like to thank all members of the Oversight Committee of the Northwest Provincial Legislature for their dedication and hard work during the meetings and working on the annual performance plan budget for 2019-20. The committee further extends appreciation to support staff who made the task of the committee much easier and empowering. We also want to thank Madam Speaker, Mr. Secretary and his support staff for also appearing for the committee and assisting us with the reports that were requested. The Standing Committee resolved that this House adopt the Northwest Provincial Legislature Annual Performance Plan and Budget 2019-2020 as tabled for noting. We did, however, as a committee reach a decision that this specific item will not be up for debate. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Nel. Honorable Diale, you have 11 minutes.
We are debating, Honorable Nel. This man, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We maintain and reiterate as the EFF that we had no hope in the Premier's predecessor rooting out corruption and maladministration. We are reiterating that. Our province fell under Section 100 while in his custody. The incumbent Premier, especially us as well as the legislature, we have a mountain to climb to rebuild our province. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, members of the legislature, Mahosi Arona, Baagi ba bokone bophirima ba eteledipele ba lekoko le le golang ka potlako la economic freedom fighters ke a le dumedisa. Honorable members, Honorable Speaker, the current National Assembly Speaker and former Speaker, Honorable Thandi Modise, is remembered as once said, Parliament or legislature ought to be an agent of change in the society. Always, as usual. When pressed for clarity, the former Umkhondo Wesiso operative indicated that by agent of change, she meant that the posture of Parliament and its operational chest should bring about a decisive and qualitative change to the lives of ordinary people. That means legislation and motions that we pass in this House should have positive impact on the lives of our people. We therefore have to ensure that we do not politicize positively raised motions and or legislation that is undebatably aimed at improving the livelihood of our people. Where the House, through debates from representatives of various political parties represented in this August House, agree unequivocally that, for example, our government departments must ensure insourcing of security officers within the province. The House must resolve on that. That must be a resolution so that it is implemented by the departments without fail. And the legislature must ensure that it happens by holding the departments accountable and not protecting them. Honorable Speaker, this August House passed Youth Entrepreneurship Services Act in 2017-2018 financial year. The effect of the latter piece of legislation cannot be entertained because Northwest, in terms of the latest quarterly labor force survey, is home to many unemployed young people, some of whom has matric certificates, some with degrees and postgraduate qualifications, respectively. Clearly, there's no direct correlation between the legislature's output in terms of legislation and the qualitative transformation of the lives of our ordinary people. Honorable Speaker, allow me to indulge myself and borrow liberally from the French political thinker Charles de Montesquieu, when he said, and I quote, "If the legislative and executive authorities are one institution, there will be no freedom." Close quote. In this quote, General Montesquieu shared the idea of separation of powers As such, as the legislature, whether through the Speaker or otherwise, we cannot be seen to be defending departmental flaws. We must hold them accountable, and we must do so unsparingly. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we welcome the emphasis that the institution has placed on public participation through forums such as Urubone public hearings and sectoral parliaments, and many others. Public participation as a constitutional mandate of the legislature has to some extent been executed satisfactorily. However, I understand you have mentioned it, but also we have to mention it as a matter of emphasis. It is of utmost importance for the institution to ensure that participants invited or transported to these events are indeed stakeholders. In most, if not all, public hearings, ordinary community members, in particular ANC voters, are transported merely to add to the numbers of attendees, with the result that they would merely raise questions of service delivery rather than participate in the business of the day. The exercise ultimately becomes futile, as only the few will be identified and briefed on how to call for adoption of documents they hardly understand. This is daylight robbery against our hard-earned democracy. Furthermore, yes, you are leading it, unless you are not ruling this province. Furthermore, we have in previous occasions raised concerns about creation of proper criteria of transporting constituencies to this legislature. The funds used or allocated in that regard are not ANC funds. They must be utilized for the benefit of Northwest constituencies, with all political parties represented in the legislature being brought on board. Therefore, shedding light with whips of the parties on issues of constituency transported to the legislature and public hearings is essential. Honorable Speaker, I must say that the last sectoral parliament on youth was a complete disaster. That parliamentary session was nothing but malicious compliance exercise. Young people were gathered in hush-hush to this August House, only for someone to present a thick document on Fourth Industrial Revolution, which he did not understand himself. I can guarantee you, Honorable Speaker, that, unless you call me youth, I can guarantee you, Honorable Speaker, that the sectoral parliament was nothing but fruitless exercise. I hope you did your best as a youth of this. As a
4
youth.
minutes left.
I also guarantee that there are no implementable resolutions of the on that sectoral parliament. Generally, sectoral parliament must start in the regions and culminate into the provincial event. The subject matter ought to be explained and simplified for participants. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as I conclude, let me congratulate the head of administration in the legislature, Honorable Ntate Musiane. Honorable because of the standing job. For receiving unqualified audit report from the Auditor General in the past financial year. However, we want to encourage Secretary of the Legislature to strive towards ensuring that the audit opinion in this current financial year is without matters of emphasis from the AG. The Secretary of the Legislature is encouraged to prioritize the process of job evaluation and grading system in the legislature. Salary disparities between senior management and junior management must be fixed. Researchers have also to be paid properly. It is an anomaly for the researcher of the committee at the master's level to be at a level of level 7, while other counterparts in other legislatures are earning far much higher. It means the legislature's remuneration levels are not market-related and competitive. Equally, it is an anomaly for a junior staff to earn more than a senior staff. It only happens in this legislature of the Northwest. In terms of members' interest, we are still saying let Lower Parliamentary Village be equipped with recreational facilities and let security be digitized to guarantee the safety of members. On a lighter note, the induction book very progressive. We also thank the Speaker of this institution, the East Wing, the building of the East Wing as a legacy that she has had. We have also have outstanding issues regarding the is to being debated in the committee and addressed as such. Ka budget, Honorable Speaker, o tla utlwa ka rona o ska re blackmail. We are saying when we reject our budget on all occasions, we are saying reprioritize. We are not saying there must not be budgets in the province, otherwise we would not know what we want. We are saying the budgets must be aimed at affording good livelihood for our people in the Northwest Province. We are saying reprioritize. Whoever called you 2017, probably it's after the budget was accepted. But we'll still continue to reject the budgets in this institution for as long as we are not happy that it is prioritizing the poor masses of our province. Tlogela dustbin in the Speaker of the Legislature. Issue ya 2017 ya gore mang go fonetsa batla sare ke dustbin. So I'm a dustbin. Finally, to the fastest growing organization in SADC, happy 6th anniversary. Kwanyamazane siyaya. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Diale. Honorable Linkopane, you have 8 minutes to debate the budget of the Northwest Provincial Legislature.
Musa Khotla le motlatsi wa gago. Musa Khotla le motlatsi wa gago. Tona kgolo ya monogae bokone bophirima re Tebogo Mokgoro. Bakhuruthamaga ba ba mono. Maloko a kokoano peomolao ya bokone bophirima. Maaparanko a rona balelediwa le bagaetsho botlhe dumelang. Ke monyetla o boitshegang go ema mo ntlong ya molao jaaka mokgethwa go emela le koko la makgonthe la African National Congress go atlanegisa lenaane la thulaganyo ya tsamaiso ya ditiragalo tsa ngwaga ya setheo sa kokoano peomolao e. Honorable Speaker, this debate takes a few days after the United Nations-led 10th Mandela Day to commemorate the legacy of selfless service by the late ANC President, distinguished statesman, the freedom fighter, and a global Nelson Mandela. The values that Madiba stood for continue to inspire the world and future generations. Today, in debating the annual performance plan for the Northwest Legislature, we draw inspiration from the words of Madiba when he described freedom as not merely the cast of one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. The chief role of legislature is to exercise oversight over executive, thereby facilitating public involvement in its work and pass legislation to transform society and change the status quo. The ANC, as the majority party in this legislature, carries a responsibility of ensuring that the mandate which we received from the electorate during the 2019 national and provincial elections find expression through the pursuit of the participatory democracy. We are here as public representatives to ensure that legislation passed by the legislature advances the wishes and aspirations of those who have elected us. Honorable Deputy Speaker, it is through the appropriation of the budget of the legislature that the 6th Parliament will continue to provide a platform for public dialogue on issues of strategic, national and provincial importance. Honorable Speaker, the ANC knows the great strides your executive and administration have made in passing of the bills, Orebone programs, the committee meetings as well as the sectoral parliament. The conducting of such, where people are put first, actualize the ANC manifesto of leading government of people by the people. Honorable Speaker, the ANC applaud the legislature in working towards the requirements of the Intergovernmental Relations Act. Honorable Speaker, the signed MOU with the SET, especially with the public protector and the municipalities, shows a great effort to ensure accountability, democracy enhancement, and improved service delivery. Honorable Speaker, in your serious challenges, you mention office space for both members and staff, and further indicated the completeness of the construction and referred to it as an enabling means to increase productivity. Honorable Speaker, as a daughter of Tuma Mina family, the ANC calls for a speedy attention to such as we still experience shortage of well-equipped space as part of the package of members enabling facilities. Kauleza, Speaker, Kauleza. The Honorable Speaker, the ANC knows the existence of irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure as found by the AG. Honorable Speaker, the Governance and Consequence Management Advisory Committee needs to move with speed to address such findings. Accountability and transparency are at the core of a democratic state. We owe it to our people to furnish reasons, or rather accountable, for the decisions we take on behalf of our people. Democracy tlabe le lehela ga bao ba rweleng marapo a taolo ba sa pego maikarabelo a diphoso tsa bone tsa botsa ditshwetso ditshenyegelo tsa tiriso ya ledi le boroba melao e mengwe. Motlotlegi Musa Kgotla ka netehatso ya tse di boletsweng, the ANC has no reservation to move for the adoption of the APP 1920 for the provincial legislature with its budget vote number 2 as presented by the Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Linkopane. Honorable Sonakile, you have 11 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Bohloko ba seeta bo utlwa ke monga sona. Every time I stand to debate, I'm forever reminded that I'm a former employee of the legislature. This is said as if it's wrong to become a member, or that former employees of this institution do not deserve to be members. It seems as if being a member is only reserved for those selected few, or that former employees of this institution are only qualified to serve members. It's very regrettable, Deputy Speaker, because this always comes mostly from that group of MECs, the legacy. Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the APP presented to the committee, the Speaker mentioned that they have strengthened the Financial Management Division. In reality, this is far from the truth. This division still relies on the usage of consultants on financial issues. Consultants come and go, taking their skills and expertise along with them, just to make space for a new crew of consultants to take their place. In the foreword of the APP, the Speaker announced the completion of the new East Wing building, the legacy of the 5th administration. This building, I have to say, it's beautiful and state-of-the-art. But Deputy Speaker, our office as the DA has moved to that new building 2 months ago. Yet there are still no cell phones or network cables, no furniture, despite the fact that the tender for the supply went out and closed in November. The very advanced conferencing system in the caucus rooms cannot be used because the furniture that was designed for that caucus rooms have not been installed. Yes, the legislature has given us reasons for this. However, in as much as the completion of that building was earlier than expected, plans should have been there to deal with all other issues such as furniture. This indicates an own goal to a very good project. The process of revising the organizational structure is long overdue, and there has been a consultant after consultant doing this. First, there was a similar process that unfolded with no results. If the legislature is serious about acting on this, processes would have been in place to be implemented on time for the 2019-20 fiscal year, since the report was already complete. For the Speaker to say that she is still applying her mind to the report seems to be nothing but a delay tactic and a waste of time, and it raises a concern over what exactly is contained in that report. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the 4th Industrial Revolution seems to be on everyone's mind, and the need to move with the times is an essential need to this day and age. But the new building is held ransom by a switch. During a committee meeting in November 2018, concerns were raised about the provision of telephones, core switch, internet, PABX, and the server room. The legislature promised to deliver on all this within 6 weeks. The server room and internet were done, but due to the fact that the legislature opted to use CETA, the process has been stalled. CETA is unable to deliver on the request, and the building is still without the switch. Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the APP, the Speaker mentions that internal controls will be strengthened by the establishment of the Consequence Management Advisory Committee and Irregular, Fruitless and Wasteful Expenditure Governance Committee, the latter being led by an outside person. We hope this will not be a waste of funds without bearing any fruit. We will scrutinize the work and the expenditure reports of these committees, as nothing is said in the APP besides this flyby mention in the foreword by the Speaker. We welcome the legislature, the fact that they have alluded to the fact that there are inadequate internal control environment. This is of importance if you take into cognizance the mandate of the legislature. This legislature is supposed to lead by example in order for the Speaker and us to can stand here and do oversight over departments. The admission by the institution itself is a step in the right direction and means that we must take serious action. Deputy Speaker, there seems to be no mention to revitalize the resolution tracking system in this APP. For the past few years, this system has been weak. This is a huge concern as it is out of this system that the mandates of oversight and holding the executive to account will be effectively implemented and tracked. Chair of Chairs, it is sad because this poor non-functioning system has been dumped to your committee. You will have to move with speed to ensure that this system is up to date, to avoid situations where portfolio committees will make recommendations and the House will make resolutions on various issues, but we won't be able to track them. This has been very evident, what I've just mentioned in the House yesterday, when the MEC Mulapisi blatantly misled this House when he was asked where are the committee reports, when he said that he has given them or submitted them to the portfolio chairperson, only to find that the reports were still being prepared by his office to be submitted at 10. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we welcome the possibility by the Speaker. We welcome the decision by the Speaker that they said they will be looking at the possibility of us having a joint program with the Select Committee of NCOP and to give effect to the provisions of Section 139 and Section 100. This might clear out so many issues that we as portfolio committees have been having on our role as a legislature and that of the NCOP, especially on these departments that are under administration. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this institution has a very important mandate, and the crucial role it plays must be treated with resoluteness and determination it deserves. In line with the sector oversight model, we have during the beginning of the 6th legislature decried at the limitation of the portfolio committees from 9 to 5. This, we highlighted that will stifle oversight, but we were overruled. Reasons provided was that this was done in line with the reconfiguration of the departments, of which is a blatant lie. Proper oversight requires that for each vote of the department, there must be a unique committee overseeing its work. Not this current system where you find more than 3 departments reporting to one committee led by one chairperson. That is why you see the likes of Honorable Motwana being so overworked, even in this debate. After the Premier had appointed his executive, and the legislature nominated the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chief Whip and Chair of Chairs, the ANC was only left with 5 ordinary members that could be appointed as chairpersons. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is very dangerous. They feared the opposition because they knew that the opposition will do oversight properly. They knew that oversight will not be limited when opposition members lead there. So they ran Ayasaba, Amagwala. The sad reality is that the ANC, Honorable Kekakilwe, is that the ANC has in the past 2 or 3 elections been losing seats, and this trend is going to continue. Are you going to get to a point where you limit committees to 3 after the next elections to cater for your 3 ordinary members? We saw in the 5th legislature that committees only started being ablaze late last year when the ANC factions in the province got heated. That is when members of the ANC started playing their effective role without partisan favors. But this was little too late, as it was almost the end of the term. The legislature as an institution must instill public confidence. As it stands, the public slowly lose confidence in us because we have permitted the manipulation of party politics to trample on the oath that we took. That is to be faithful to the republic and not individuals. This loss of confidence is evident when you open the legislature Facebook page and check on the reviews. I'll quote one comment there from Katlego Ranokoka. And I quote, "The Northwest Legislature betrayed our royal family of Ramukoka. They betrayed Chief Bossman Ramukoka, and they also betrayed our land claim." Close quote. This is one of many who have lost faith in this institution.
2
because
minutes left.
we have
2 minutes left.
2 minutes. Deputy Speaker, based on the mammoth test of this legislature, we cannot, as the DA, approve this budget. We believe that this budget is too little and must be increased if we are serious about the smooth running of this institution. Therefore, we are not going to approve it. Deputy Speaker, our legacy will not be remembered by future generations over the beautiful buildings that we built, but it will be honored and remembered if we effectively deliver on our mandate. Buildings are not our mandate, but oversight is. On a lighter note, before I leave, Madam Speaker, Oskankadilo Kamafat, because we have to debate. Because the moment you take them personal,
but importantly, in what you quoted from Montesquieu, he says that there's no greater tyranny than that which is perpetrated under the shield of the law and in the name of justice, which is a perfect contradiction to what you raised. But I will quote for you important revolutionaries as we sit over time and have tea at our new residences. When Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua met with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Iran, Zarif, Ortega said to him that we are brother countries, revolutions born at the same time, in defense of peace, justice, and freedom of our people. Then in his reply, the Foreign Minister of Iran, Zarif, said, "Victory for you means victory for us, especially when both revolutions triumphed in the same year, and for the 40 years we have struggled." He speaks about the interrelation between what you may call as the legislature, what you may call as the judiciary, and what you may call as government. Because the interrelation of these different spheres will only succeed if there is better correlation and work amongst them. Recognizing their independence as various arms of the state, but they can never exist separate from each other. Therefore, oversight is not policing the executive or government. Oversight is not a consistent insult and undermining of fault-finding mission to the executive. But oversight is to hold the executive accountable in line with what they have declared to do to better the lives of our people. Therefore, the latter spirit of this budget vote of the Speaker speaks about fundamental things. It elevates the activist nature of the Parliament and the legislature that we must be. And that activist nature of this Parliament should be out of proper correlation, work, and systematic approach to issues and proper understanding. Now we understand that opposition in its nature will be opposition for purposes of opposition, but we will never But will never, I speak from the head. That's how intelligent I am, Sonakil. I'm not reading anything. There's nothing written. Yes. I pretend as if I'm reading, but I'm speaking from the head. Because I knew you were going to ask, where is it written? Now that activist nature of Parliament, honorable members, should seek to hold the executive accountable. The budget and APP vote of the Speaker speaks about a smooth and effective operation, meaning the introduction of proper IT systems, introduction of proper financial management systems, which she acknowledges in her vote that they have in the past administration attempted and they've not succeeded, and they are continuing to do and better that work. Now that's the nature of the African National Congress. That we're an organization that accepts our faults as and when we have made them. We're an organization that apologizes that we have wronged our people. We're an organization that continues to provide solutions to problems of the African people. We don't just speak. We don't just speak. We don't just speak. We don't just speak, oppose, without providing proper solutions to the problems. We acknowledge our problems and provide solutions to those problems. And the budget vote as presented by the Speaker seeks to present solutions rather than lamentation on the problems, as we have heard most of our members on the left doing. It speaks about strengthening sector work. It emphasized the importance of strengthening sector work, making sure that sector parliaments that we have do not only result into talk shops, but have clear and proper tangible resolutions which would find expression in the APPs, which would find expression in various budget votes of various departments. It should emerge with proper programs. It should emerge with proper programs that should seek to better the life of our people. It speaks about strengthening public participation and having a sector-specific public participation. Now, if you talk about, I'm not going to be provoked by you, Honorable Papiki. I choose not to. Well, maybe in the next round of discussions in Parliament, I will succumb to your pressure. When we talk about, e.g., a bill on the financial sector, it must be sector-specific. We must convene people who have got expertise. That is what the Speaker says in the APP. That is what the Speaker says in the APP. So we would strengthen this work going forward. If you want to chair committees, Honorable Sonakile, you must work hard that the DA wins a sizable majority in Parliament, which is a dream that may not happen. Therefore, we have a sizable majority. That's why since the beginning of these budget votes, we have always passed them with a very low voice of the noes and a very high note of the yes. We have managed. That's a sizable majority. Otherwise, because you lack the comprehensive strategy to ensure that budgets are not adopted, lack the sizable number to ensure that it is, you thought that you will find your back door through committees. Well, work hard. It is a dream. It may not happen now. If ever it will ever happen, but work hard to increase your majority so that you can chair committees. But for now, we do not mind. We could do work that normally is done in a 10-week parliamentary period. We did it in 2 weeks. And thanks to you for attending every committee. So that is what oversight means. Moving from 4 committee meetings a day, arriving at 7:30 in the legislature and leaving at 8 in the evening to ensure that these APPs are adopted. you had also been there, and I think you saw the capacity of the African National Congress and the leadership that it deployed to play oversight. Otherwise, if you didn't recognize that capacity, you wouldn't have attended each and every meeting of the portfolio committees, as if there's nobody else in the DA except you. It is as if you are the only mind in the DA, there's no other person. It is as if there is no other member in the EFF except Sonwabo, what is his name, honorable member here? Sonwabile. You attend each and every committee meeting to come and guard, because you have no confidence even in members that you have deployed to these committees yourself. But we have shown throughout the weeks, Honorable Sonakile, excellent capacity and exceptional performance of the cream de la cream of the African National Congress, which chairs these committees. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Matabuche. Order, honorable members. Honorable Speaker, you are allocated 10 minutes to conclude the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I think, Deputy Speaker, I've saved some minutes in my debate. If allowed, the Deputy Speaker, if I go beyond, may I please request my minutes back? Thank you very much, honorable members. The committee, the Standing Committee Chairperson, Honorable Nell, thank you very much for your inputs. Indeed, the Secretary to the Legislature, Dr. Musiani, have submitted all the reports as requested by the committee. But listening to the chairperson of the Standing Committee, honorable members, I think we need to change the format that we have been using of reporting to this budget vote in a way. Because since from budget 1, you'll hear committees are saying, we have requested this and that document, as if there was no engagement between the department and the committee. The committees are so silent on the issues responded to by the departments. Now, in the eyes of the public, it's like the MECs did not respond to some of the issues. You are just waiting for the reports. I don't know why you are fighting, honorable members. I'm saying we need to relook into, that is the format of the legislature, it's my format also. But I'm saying we need to relook into, I'm not sure why are you howling, honorable members. We need to relook into the format, honorable members, of reporting back, so that it can also capture that there were some sort of responses from the departments. But thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Standing Committee, for good work done. All the issues, in my view, the issue of the website, the budget, the consultant, we have responded to all those issues in the committee. Honorable Diale, you know, what is your problem? Your problem is that one honorable, I just want to give you an example so that you can understand. One honorable, I'm responding. I'm not on the dustbin, I'm responding. One honorable Mutsumi currently is sitting on that chair, presiding. You must respect that chair, even if you don't like Honorable Mutsumi. I just wanted to give you a practical example. Honorable Supra Ramuyeleti Mahuma Pelo will remain in the history books as the former premier of Bokoni Bophirima. Like him, hate him, or whatever. Your President Malema You know, you reminded me of Malema when he was the president. Oh, Honorable President Malema, when he was the president of the Youth League in the Rustenburg Civic Center. What he said in the Rustenburg Civic Center, he said, once you are a leader, you will remain a leader. You'll always be remembered as a leader. You are a member of parliament today, tomorrow we'll still remember you as a member, a former member of this house, and you will be recognized as that. So it has nothing to do with the person, but the position the person is occupying. So that is why I will never, never forget to remember any leader of my organization or of government simply because I have issues or I have hate towards a particular person. I'll never do that. That is dustbin. That is dustbin, honorable member. And on the rest of the issues, Honorable Diale, I think what you did, you are just repeating what I've said. So trying to respond to that, I'll be responding to myself. Because there's nothing new that you are mentioning. The issue of public participation, the issue of oversight, the issue of sectoral parliaments, I've mentioned those issues. Challenges, and how are we going to deal with those challenges? So I don't know why you wanted to grandstand, whilst issues were already dealt with properly. On the issue of EFF wanting to be part of the logistics arrangement, I don't know. Even myself as the speaker, I'm not part and parcel. It's the work of officials to deal with the logistics. If members of this house, they want to be part of the logistics, I don't know what you call it. If it's done, you say it's interference, I don't know. You want to sit with public participation and say, in this constituency office, you can bring. So then when they do their logistics arrangement, they don't look into any party. They look into members of the community of the Northwest Provincial Legislature. Those members are identified through offices of the speakers in the local municipalities. That is the process, honorable members. I think I've answered you, Honorable Diale, but you'll never be allowed to be part of that kind of a process. I don't want to come here and grandstand. On youth parliament, Honorable Diale, you know, the other mistake that you do, you think that being an EFF member, when you want to be a member of this house, you become a member, you take responsibility. When you decide to be EFF alone, you stand alone as EFF. Those sectoral parliaments, youth parliament, is also your responsibility. It's your work. You must have been there if there's anything wrong that was done to correct and do the right thing. You can't come here, no, you can't come here and grandstand. And to my knowledge, EFF, you don't attend. The public that have elected you must know, you are not fully participating. At least DA can say something, but not EFF. You are loafers, you attend. And Honorable Biza, thank you very much on your contributions. And on the shortage of space, honorable members, I think we have clarified this in the standing committee, honorable members, that, honorable members, any member who wishes to move to the new building can move, but these are the challenges. So you moved at your own risk, knowing clearly that those things you're complaining about here, they were not there. So you can't be told, there are no new chairs. But when you arrive at the building, you want new chairs. What you were told before? Or there are no new furnitures there. But you come here, you can stand, you want new furniture because there's nothing that you can touch that is unusual in regard to the new building. There's nothing that is unusual. Now you just want to use smaller things, furniture. You have old furniture, honorable members. Move with your old furniture. I have moved with my old furniture. Deputy Speaker have moved with their old furniture. You have cell phones. The legislature is giving you money for those cell phones. Use those cell phones. Wi-Fi in the new building. use Wi-Fi. If I'm able to survive, the Deputy Speaker is surviving. Where can you survive? In the new building, whilst waiting for other resources. You must survive. Tina, we are surviving. We are prepared for this budget votes. We are clear. Everything is well organized. You must also survive, honorable members. And in terms of the AG findings, Honorable Bita, we do have an action plan that shows the movement and the progress thereof. That is why Honorable Diallo today is applauding Tate Musiane for good work done. It's as a result of that action plan, but again, the role that was played by the standing committee. And thank you very much for that. At least there was something positive from your side. Honorable Salakile is not here. Omane is not here. Firstly, he threatened me so that I cannot respond, to say members are afraid to speak because if they speak, I won't delegate them to overseas trips. No, Honor, there is no such. There is no such. So it then means Honorable Salakile, I won't delegate him. No, it does not work that way, honorable members. I won't do that, Shem. Don't worry. I won't do that. So I'm not sure, honorable members, should I really waste your time by responding on the honorable member that is not even inside. So for the record, fine. Honorable Solakile must know that ha ana monopoly of wisdom. Renali buboko, rizi go ikakanyetsa. If DA yone ga e kgone go ikakanyetsa, like Honorable Mataboge has said, o tlhotlhoma le di committee tsotlhe. Go bontsha gore go shota ga boboko ka go letlhakoreng la DA. Yaanong ge di-party tse dingwe di na le maboko ba sa tlhotlhome, bone ba tlhotlhoma ka Honorable Sonakile. Ga gona re yana ba tshwantse ba iketse ka re ke bona ke barutegi, re na le barutegi le rona mo parlamenteng mo ba bantsi. Mare a lesson that I wanted Honorable Sonakile to learn, D2, come members of the DA. Former member of the DA was behaving a little bit like Tate Sonakile. Honorable Matlake used to say this to honorable member. Motlamba go tlatsang o tla ichola is one day. Ba motlatsitse no. Hayo mo housing. Kwa le nteng wa ichola. There was a member, a very young woman. There was a very young woman in the National Assembly from the DA. In one committee, a veteran of the ANC, member story. This young woman, the way Papanga thing, by has never I'm telling you, before 5 years, now, there's nothing wrong, honorable members, in dealing with issues in the legislation. And I've said it before. There is nothing wrong for honorable members holding us and the executive accountable. But you cannot keep on behaving as if you know it all. We are all honorable members. We are all honorable members. We read from the same book, we read from the same page. Other members can be undermined as if they don't have brains. Only one person in this institution has brains. And I hear you were talking about regrettable being called former staff member. I don't know, maybe you're referring to Honorable Kekakilwe, but it was in a wrong debate of being regrettable. You cannot be reminded of being a former. I don't remember saying all those things that you are referring to. And I won't even attempt to respond on that, because if I can start responding on that, it won't be nice, honorable member. My responsibility is to help you to grow. You are a very young man. The issues of the consultants, the finance staff, the internal controls and everything is just grandstanding, Honorable Sonakile. You know very well that we responded on these issues during the standing committee engagements We have responded to these issues. So you can't come here and grandstand as if nothing is done. All those challenges were raised by us. We have the following challenges. Were raised by us, not by you. So you can't come here and pretend as if you are the one raised all those things. The issue of that tracking of House resolutions, honorable members, I want to plead with you again. I've done that during the debate, honorable members. There are reports referred to your committees by the 5th administration. You'll find answers on that. There's a lot of progress that has been registered in that regard. There's a lot of progress that has been registered. So I don't want to repeat that. And if you want further clarity, feel free through the chairperson of the committee for us to come and further explain to the committee. On parties losing seats, Honorable Mataboge, it was within his powers to deal with that. I won't deal with it. On the issue of budget not being supported because it's too little, Honorable Solekile, I don't think you are doing justice to the legislature. As much as I agree with you, but without supporting the budget simply because it needs to be increased, I want to persuade you that let's adopt this budget and continue to engage the MEC for finance. And I've said it, Honorable Solekile, that the MEC for finance is readily available to further engage with the legislature to make sure that it might not even be enough, but something for the better. That will help members to do their part, to do their oversight. Honorable Mataboge, thank you very much, Honorable Member, for clarifying to this House what is the role of oversight, holding the executive and public participation. Indeed, my vision for this legislature is building an activist parliament. And like I've said before, from where I am, I'm happy, Honorable Solekile. You are one of my number ones that are doing that very much.
Honorable
You are
Speaker.
very active. Okay.
There's a point of order. Honorable Rabutapi.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. You know, sometimes, Deputy Speaker, it is very important to come here to debate issues,
Honorable Rabutapi.
not to come and cast aspersions.
Honorable Rabutapi.
What is important, Deputy Speaker,
Honorable
is
Rabutapi.
we must not deal with personalities, but with issues. I
Point of order, Deputy Speaker.
Before I allow another point of order, actually, Honorable Rabutapi, you are the one who's out of order. So please, in future, let us try by all means to align ourselves with the rules, the standing rules of this House. Honorable Kirakilwe.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. You covered me. I wanted to point to Honorable Member that the rules indicate that when you rise on a point of order, you must refer to a particular rule. Which rule the member is raising?
Noted, Honorable Kirakilwe. Honorable Speaker, you may conclude your response.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I was only responding. It was going to be very much irresponsible of me not to respond to issues as raised by honorable members. I only responded to issues as
Okay,
raised.
Honorable Speaker.
In conclusion,
Honorable Speaker, before you conclude, let me allow Honorable Theologo to raise her point of order.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I think it's evident Honorable Speaker.
Which rule are you rising on, Honorable Theologo?
Not a horse
On a
racing
point
club.
of order. I'm on Rule 74 on a point of order. I want to say it is difficult when you're in the hot seat. It makes quite a difference when you stand there. And I'm not pointing to a person, I'm pointing to the podium. Just to indicate to the Honourable Speaker that she must, when she's standing there, also not forget to call my Honourable Member Honourable Sonakile and not Sonakile when she's addressing him. It's just a reminder. You called him by surname, Speaker. And it's difficult when you stand
Order
there.
sustained.
Thank you.
Order sustained, Honorable
Honorable
Theologo.
Sonakile, if indeed there was a time when I said Sonakile, I will never do that, Honorable Theologo. It was an oversight. My apologies, Honorable Sonakile. As I conclude, honorable members, indeed, it's my intention to make sure that we build an activist parliament. And I was saying, honorable members, these budget votes, be rest assured, I'm convinced that we are there. And I was saying, Honorable Sonakile is one of those young men and women, Honorable Williams, that are doing very well in making sure that we do our part, as much as they are new members in the legislature. And thank you very much, honorable members, for your contribution and your engagement. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, before we move for the adoption of this budget, for the purpose of consistency, I would request honorable members to occupy their seats before we vote. Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members, may we now adopt the budget of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, program by program. Program 1, Administration, 285,499,000 rand. Does the House adopt the budget for Program 1?
Yes.
I have the yeses. Program 2, Statutory Payments, 33,837,000 rand. Does the House adopt the budget for Program 2?
Yes.
The yeses. Yes, I can hear only the yeses. Program 3, Legislature Operations, 167,528,000 rand. Does the House adopt the budget for Program 3?
Yes.
The yeses has it. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Babiki, that's sizable majority.
Honorable Rabutapi.
Thank you very much. I was just raising, Madam Deputy Speaker, to please note the objection of the DA on these budgets.
Noted, Honorable Rabutapi. Honorable Chief Whip.
I thought he left to put a rider.
Honorable members, order.
The honorable member who is saying that he does not agree to the adoption must add a rider that on condition that is also not going to be paid this salary. Thank you.
No, you are out of order, Honorable Chief Whip. Thank you, honorable members. The 2019-2020 budget, vote 2 for the Northwest Provincial Legislature, totaling 486,864,000 rand, is now adopted. Without wasting any time, I will now call on the Premier, Honorable Mokoro, to present the Office of the Premier 2019-2020 budget, vote 1, Honorable Mokoro, you have 40 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Susan Danke, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of the Northwest Provincial Legislature, Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Paul Sibirwe, Executive Mayors and Speakers, those who are here, Makhosi a rona a tlotlegang, administrative staff, members of the labor movement and civil society, members of the media, bagaetsho dumelang. I stand before you to present and request this August House to endorse the budget vote for the office of the Premier for the current financial year, a department for which the last few years, up to the few days ago, had neglected its main responsibility to be a strong and competent nerve center of policy coordination in the Northwest. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Office of the Premier had also abdicated its core function to lead in evidence-based policy formulation and implementation in a coherent and cohesive manner, as well as take up its rightful role of oversight across government in the province. However, I can say with confidence and without any fear of contradiction that the work we have done and are continuing to do will go a long way to ensure that indeed the center is holding. We are hard at work to ensure that we address some of the ongoing challenges pertaining to our role in strengthening our ability to deliver quality services to the people of this province, such as coordination between the Office of the Premier and other provincial departments. The aim is to improve the support that we're supposed to provide to departments, enhance the visibility of the Office of the Premier across government, and address the incoherent coordination of service delivery that we have witnessed across the province. Honourable members, as we move forward at the beginning of this 5-year electoral term, we are positioning ourselves to improve in resolving these challenges. As we do so, the Office of the Premier must show leadership at the apex of the Northwest administration. At the heart of our resolve to provide decisive leadership and coherent policy coordination, we are determined to address the following: chronic poor service delivery in the Northwest province, poor governance, administration, and political leadership in dysfunctional municipalities, frequent and violent community protests, as well as the accompanying vandalism, poor communication across departments and to communities, failure to implement commitments made to communities, and failure to give feedback to communities on commitments made. Some of the issues and concerns that our communities have been raising with us pertain to water and sanitation, unemployment, corruption, the appalling condition of our rural road infrastructure, 24-hour access to health facilities, the provision of decent and adequate housing, and the scourge of crime. We are going to incorporate the issues raised by communities in the government, identify priorities, and monitor their implementation. We will ensure that departments pull their weight in improving the lives of our people, as well as responding timeously and correctly to the needs that we find in various communities across the province. Honourable Speaker, the program structure of the Office of the Premier is as follows: administration, 2, institutional development, and planning, performance, monitoring, evaluation, and intervention. Administration is responsible for the provision of efficient and effective administrative support within the Office of the Premier. Its 2019-2020 budget is focused on financing direct operational costs and overheads, such as audit fees amounting to 9 million, skills development costs of officials within the office at cost of 3.6 million, further the provision of employee health, wellness for officials, allocated at 1.8 million, fleet services at 5.4 million, and operating lease costs for office accommodation and labor-saving devices allocated at 4.3 million. Honourable Speaker, the Office of the Premier received qualified audit opinion for the past 4 years. In the 2017-18 financial year, we are qualified in 4 areas. We developed a post-audit action plan to respond to the reported significant audit issues, such as weaknesses in asset management, incorrect classification of expenditure, non-compliance to laws and regulations when procuring goods and services, as well as failure to provide proof of receipt thereof. Honourable Speaker, the Office of the Premier, in its quest to be a lead example in the province, insofar as financial management is concerned, has, in the 2018-19 financial year, registered the following successes: cancellation of the main contractor, which directly contributed to substantial irregularities in the office. This decisive action yielded positive results, whereby the cost of irregular expenditure incurred in previous financial year was 248,072,000, which was reduced by 99% to 1.156 million in the current year under review. We have achieved 95% rate for payments to service providers within 21 days. In respect of 30 days payment, we achieved 98%. We are progressively achieving the provincial targets insofar as rapid processing of payments to service providers. Honourable members, we are proud to report that for more than 3 years since succession, no unauthorized expenditure has been incurred in the office. Additionally, the management of accruals is maturing at a rapid pace, with a reduction of accruals from 5.917 million in 2017-18 to 3.202 million in the current year under audit review. As we are heading towards the end of 2018-19 audit year, indications are that the Office of the Premier has reduced areas of qualification from 4 to 1. The qualification is based on comparative amounts in line with the audit standard 500, which is unavoidable. The Office of the Premier is committed to continue with utmost vigor to turn around its financial management landscape and that of other departments in collaboration with Provincial Treasury. With regard to institutional development is primarily mandated to provide strategic leadership and support to all provincial departments through coordination, monitoring, evaluation of the implementation of policy frameworks, strategies and programs related to strategic human resource management, integrity management, provincial legal advisory services, government information technology, communication, and skills development through Ikatison School of Government. The budget over the 2019 MTF mainly provides for ICT transformation programs at 116.43 million, centralization of bursaries to non-employees at 42.25 million, and legal costs at 12 million. The NEL Skill Development Program has been allocated 5 million. The allocation for youth entrepreneurship support is 12.4 million. Provincial communication and advertisement is allocated 6.672 million, while research project in respect of demand and supply of skills in the process has been allocated 2.5 million. To elaborate further on ICT, we aim to optimize service delivery through implementation of information technology governance capability, level 2. 16 departments will be provided with network authentication. 32 Northwest Provincial Government Network sites performance will be upgraded to access government services, while 2 provincial mainframes will be upgraded. To provide a functional government communication system which enables citizen empowerment and involvement in their own development through the 16 communication tools used to promote the Northwest corporate brand, 20 media platforms will be sourced to communicate provincial government service delivery programs, and 36 government events will be promoted. Honorable members, to implement minimum security standards and strengthen programs that will eradicate fraud, corruption, and acts of misconduct, and promote ethics and integrity, 24 interventions have been implemented towards achieving the National Anti-Corruption Strategy and 16 minimum security standards. We will intensify the provision of internal legal services to the Office of the Premier and transversal services to the provincial departments through the development of bills and monitoring of litigation cases across departments. Planning, performance, monitoring, evaluation, and intervention. Honorable Deputy Speaker, planning, performance, monitoring, evaluation, and intervention is mandated to provide integrated planning, performance monitoring, evaluation, and intervention in the province. Lately, another responsibility, namely status for women, children, persons living with disabilities, and older persons, has been incorporated in the program. The main cost drivers within this program is compensation of employees, which stands at 169.107 million, subsistence and traveling at 5.8 million, which occurs as a result of monitoring, evaluation, and intervention activities. 5.495 million has been allocated for activities relating to moral regeneration and coordination of HIV and AIDS implementation plan. Honorable members, during the 2018-19 financial year, we have profiled 115 townships and small towns. We believe that this information will become an essential input into our planning processes. As you would be aware that the process to develop to a new five-year strategic planning has already commenced. The Office of the Premier will, during this financial year, coordinate and provide support to departments with the implementation of the revised framework for strategic plans and annual performance plans. Coordination and support will be achieved through regular engagement and training and targeting the planners and program managers. The training on the revised framework will be championed by Ikatiso School of Government. This framework emphasizes the result-based approach to planning, where departments and public entities will be expected to develop strategic plans that target impacts, outcomes, and outcomes indicators. In responding to the President's fourth priority on spatial integration, land and housing, the Office of the Premier, in collaboration with Corporate Governance Traditional Affairs, will also provide support to municipalities with respect to the alignment of municipal spatial development framework to the provincial spatial development framework. The office will also provide to municipalities during the development of municipal integrated development plans to ensure that they respond to the needs and challenges of communities. There will be consultation with key stakeholders, including organized business, departments, and municipalities, to collect data relevant to assist with the undertaking of provincial policy analysis during the process to finalize the provincial development plan. Honourable members, departments will be engaged to assess the progress with regard to the implementation of provincial priorities. With regard to service delivery interventions, the Office of the Premier has, during the 2018-19 financial year, established a provincial war room to attend to, mention but a few, facilitate solutions to key priority needs identified by communities, attend to all petitions and memoranda from communities, ensuring that we promote bankable investment packages, for example, mining, the N12 development, N14 development, which should be spearheaded by AWDC. Work is being done to improve government's response to community needs and complaints, but a lot needs serious attention. The office will revamp the effectiveness of our provincial call center to ensure that it is more responsive to the complaints and queries from our communities. We therefore urge our communities to utilize this facility to record their complaints and concerns. Further, to ensure that we close the gap between community and government, we have undertaken Imbizo programs in places such as Ichuseng, Bloemhof, Kagisanomolopo, and Taung. The office also undertook district prayer sessions to promote unity and cohesion within our communities. These events were undertaken in places such as Mahikeng, Taung, Marikana, and Moretele. During the current financial year, we will intensify these activities, in particular to intervene in drug-related matters and safety at schools. With regard to performance monitoring and evaluation, the Office of the Premier will continue to implement monthly performance reporting on provincial priorities such as annual performance plan, state of the province address, pronouncements including compliance to 7 government medium-term strategic framework priorities to intensify accountability and early detection of poor performance by departments and public entities. The Office of the Premier will strengthen and develop integrated reporting, monitoring and accountability framework for the province, focusing on 7 priorities for the period 2019 to 2024, medium strategic framework and provincial priorities. The Office of the Premier will continue to use an integrated and holistic provincial monitoring and evaluation system, which will serve as a single source for reporting, encompassing all departments, annual performance plans, projects, and any other government priority. Honourable members, the Office of the Premier will produce a 25 years review of government performance towards the end of the financial year. The comprehensive report will outline milestones and interventions which departments and public entities put in place to deal with triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We have also developed a 3-year cycle provincial research and evaluation plan, which will assist in evaluating effectiveness and efficiency of programs and projects implemented by the Northwest Provincial Government. Departments are in the process of developing new 3-year research and evaluation plan for the MTSF 2019-2024. The office will consult with key stakeholders such as organized business, departments, municipalities, to collect data relevant to assist with the undertaking of provincial policy analysis to ascertain relevance and impact. Departments will be engaged to assess the progress with regard to implementation of provincial priorities. With regard to job creation, in the last budget speech, we reported that during the 2017-19 financial year, we spent 48 million to fund 403 non-employee student bursaries from the Premier's Bursary Fund. In 2018-19, we spent a further 41.081 million for 200 existing beneficiaries. For the 2019 academic year, we are estimating to fund the studies of 150 potential beneficiaries with an estimated budget of 42.25 million that has been budgeted to continue to fund students. Honourable Speaker, 78 students completed their studies at the end of 2018, and all are to be released from their contractual obligations because provincial departments and municipalities, sadly, did not provide work placements as requested to do so by February 2019. The preparation of graduates for the job market is a very important and deliberate intervention and contribution by the Office of the Premier. This is achieved through the opportunities offered through the internship program. For the previous year, the Office recruited 38 beneficiaries, and we used the training budget available to put the beneficiaries through a skills program. The beneficiaries also received continuous on-the-job learning as well as mandatory training. The internship program has now been extended to 2 years, which means the current beneficiaries will still be on the program for the 2019-2020 financial year. With regard to the Northwest Development Corporation, during the 2018-19 financial year, 79.80 million was allocated to this vote for activities of the NWDC. A due diligence process was undertaken, and during the budget adjustment period and in attainment of the proper mandate of the Office of the Premier, the NWDC was transferred to the then Department of Economy and Enterprise Development, and now the Department of Economic Development, Environment and Tourism. With regard to the Northwest Entrepreneurship Services, the YES is listed as a Schedule 3C public entity in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. Regrettably, during the 2018-19 financial year, the Youth Entrepreneurship Program was not active. However, following the pronouncement by President Cyril Ramaphosa to rationalize public entities, the GTEC unit located in National Treasury conducted assessment of YES. Their recommendation is that the entity should be abolished. We have carefully considered this recommendation and concluded that due to, for example, the rural nature of the province, making it difficult for the youth to access opportunities, the escalating youth unemployment rate, and many more other factors, that YES is indeed a critical intervention program. To make YES functional, we have managed to place adverts for appointment of a board and the chief executive officer. For the 2019-20 financial year, 12.408 million has been allocated for YES. In addition to continuing to identify and support cooperatives, the mandate of YES will be broadened to include other youth development activities. With regard to ICT, Honourable Speaker, it is common knowledge that in June last year, the Office of the Premier was placed under administration when National Cabinet took a decision to invoke Section 100, 1A and 1B across departments and 1B with regard to the Office of the Premier. This has necessitated the Office of the Premier to assess several of the planned activities for implementation, and specifically the ICT transformation program as implemented by NEPO Dynamics as an ICT service provider. The assessment of all the ICT transformation projects highlighted several shortcomings in their execution. This was across all the projects being implemented by NEPO Data Dynamics. To this end, the Office of the Premier terminated the contract of NEPO Dynamics in October 2018. During the assessment, several weaknesses within ICT Operations Unit were identified. The ICT budget was therefore reprioritized to address these challenges. Several of the new initiatives identified were to address especially matters that were raised by the AG during 2017-18 audit. I must indicate that during the adjustment budget in November 2018, the ICT budget allocation was reduced by 58 million rand. This further impacted on the acquisition of the much needed goods and services required within ICT. The ICT plan for 2019-20 financial year was revised with two major investments in ICT infrastructure. That firstly, we will refresh the mainframe. This infrastructure deals with the financial and personnel systems for the province. And secondly, we will acquire a backup solution that will complete the data center modernization project, which was started in 2017-2018 financial year. As departments require ICT infrastructure, we are able to provide this within the space of 2 to 3 hours. We are in a period of rapid technological change, as we all know, and with the fourth industrial revolution upon us, we must ensure that we secure our data and information. To this end, we are coordinating the rollout of a central authentication mechanism across all provincial government departments, and its successful implementation will allow us to have visibility of users and devices that access resources on the NWPG network. It is therefore imperative that as we prepare the 5-year strategic plans for the 6th administration, infused into those plans must be a digital transformation roadmap of key business processes to ensure that the technologies that come with the fourth industrial revolution are used to provide a more effective and efficient government service to the citizens of the province. We will, with the assistance of digital advisory services, be conducting several working sessions with senior managers from all departments to develop a digital transformation roadmap for their respective departments. In our attempt to build a capable and developmental state characterized by quality institutions, the Ikatiso School of Governance will ensure its contribution by training and developing skills and a competent workforce. We are looking forward to the accreditation of Ikatiso so that the Northwest Provincial Administration can offer training and development on a much bigger scale. The program aims to enhance skills development and build competent workforce through training and development. Previously, we committed to conduct a skill supply and demand study. We wish to report that we could not complete this task as originally planned due to its importance in determining future skills planning and resource allocation in the province. For the 2019-20 financial year, we have allocated C funding to complete this project. This study is important such that our training interventions target at growing our economy and contributes to human resources for development of our communities. We will continue to monitor and report on the training progress or lack thereof. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as implemented by all provincial departments, as guided by their workplace skills plans, ICATISO will, in this financial year, strengthen its partnership with CETAs and institutions of higher learning in the province. This will enable rallying of already limited gross government resources towards a common goal of human development. Following an engagement between the National School of Government, the Department of Corporate Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs, and the ICATISO School of Governance, a joint training or learning and development plan has been developed to assist our distressed province in the implementation of mandatory training programs across provincial departments and the municipalities. This will go a long way in addressing the training gaps identified by the AG, the Public Service Commission, and the legislature's portfolio committees. The planned training programs will cover, amongst others,
10 minutes left, Tonakgolo.
citizen-centered service delivery, thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, supply chain management for practitioners, program project management, avoiding irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and art of facilitation for progressive realization of socio-economic rights, coaching for leadership development, as well as evidence-based policy making and implementation. An amount of 10 million has been set aside by the National Treasury, allocated to the National School of Government to implement the training programs in collaboration with the ICATISO School of Governance. We will be reviewing the current position and operating model for ICATISO School of Government to ensure that it is capacitated to drive the developmental agenda as well as enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Northwest University in due course, and which is aimed at delivering programs tailored to capacitate public servants at provincial and local government level. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we are ready to steer the ship in the right direction and reposition ourselves to guide and lead service delivery, as well as eradicate corruption, maladministration, and malfeasance in the entire Northwest Provincial Government. Honourable Speaker, allow me to table to this August House the 2019-20 budget for the Office of the Premier for consideration by the House. The allocation per program is tabulated as follows. Administration, 131.974 million. Institutional development, 340.847 million. Policy and governance, 198.55 million. Total being 671,371,000. And in closing, Honourable Speaker, let me take the opportunity to thank my glorious movement for the deployment to this very critical and challenging position in this time of our history. To thank Administrator Mpanza and staff in the Office of the Premier. To thank my colleagues in the Executive Council for their support, the Legislature for their robust oversight, and in particular, the Portfolio Committee on Premier Finance, Corporate Governance and Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs, ably led by Chairperson Mutswana, the Chief Whip, and the chair of chairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nakolo. I will now call on the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Premier Finance, Cooperative Governance, Women's Settlements and Traditional Affairs, Honorable Motswana, to lead the debate on the Office of the Premier Annual Performance Plan 2019-20 and Budget Vote 1. Tata Motswana, you have 10 minutes.
Ke a leboga motlotlegi Musa Khotla me Susana Danki motlotlegi Tonakgolo Re Professor Job Mokgoro, members of the executive, members of the legislature, baeng ba rona ba tlotlo, magosi a rona a tlotlegang. Ladies and gentlemen, dumelang bagaetsho. Motlotlegi Musa Khotla ke lebogela tšhono eno e ke filweng ke mokgatlo wa rona wa African National Congress go etela tshekatsheko le ngangisano ya tekanyetsokabo ya kantorokgolo ya Tonakgolo mo profenseng ya rona ya Bokone Bophirima. Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that the Premier acknowledged during his inaugural speech the stimulus package and recovery plan as announced by the President. The Premier also touched on the following priorities. 1, implementation of growth and enhancing economic reforms. 2, reprioritization of public spending to support job creation. 3, addressing urgent and pressing matters in education and health. 4, investing in municipal infrastructure. During his State of the Province address that it is time to accelerate better services to the people, and he will take bold steps to ensure that the National Development Plan is placed at the center of our resolve to better the lives of our people. Honorable Speaker, I want to volunteer to translate the words used by the Honorable Premier when he accepted the challenge by the President to accelerate services to the people in the form of Kauleza, and he said, and I quote him, "Setšhaba sa rona se re neile boikarabelo jo bo kgajane le botshwarateu. Pholo tsa rona di gokeletswe mo mogomeng. Pele sa mo letlhajaneng re goga morwalo, re semeletse re a lema." In short, Madam Speaker, this is a call to face challenges before us boldly. To be reminded at all times that as public servants we are borrowed the robes of public office to govern on behalf of the people of this province. We dare not fail them. We don't not take their perseverance on the 8th of May for granted. We are summoned as men and women of integrity and with the belief and hope that we possess the quality and vision to take this province forward. We take heed of this call to face our challenges boldly, and the Portfolio Committee will, without share of any doubt, hold the Premier to this weight. Setšhaba sa rona se re neile boikarabelo jo bo kgajane le botshwarateu, and indeed will exercise our oversight. Honorable Speaker, the committee joins the Premier in raising the concerns on the bad audit outcomes by all 22 municipalities in the province. And yet the IPP does not address matters of emphasis as indicated in the AG report now. During our deliberations as the committee, we indicated to the Office of the Premier to ensure that this is covered adequately, as this particular office is tasked with the responsibility of ensuring monitoring and performance. The committee also wanted the office of the Premier to indicate clear plans on how they intend assisting and intervening in municipalities and departments that are confronted with litigations. Because we have noted that in most of the cases, municipalities lose cases against those that are litigating against themselves due to either shortages of funds to defend themselves, or it is because they cannot hire competent legal representatives. The committee also raised concerns on the support given to municipalities by a rapid response team. The view of the committee is that they can't just exist to coordinate reports. Somehow they should be able to meaningfully intervene and act decisively on the reports they receive from situation analysis in municipalities. The committee implored on the Office of the Premier to finalize the appointment of the management board of YES by the end of the second quarter of the financial year 1920. The committee directed also that a detailed report on forensic investigation cases be concluded and submitted to the committee, indicating prior years after the adoption of this particular report. The committee further requested a comprehensive report on Section 100 intervention so as to be able to gauge whether progress has been made or not. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier plays a key role in coordinating performance of departments in the province, and it is not the numbers in the budget that will measure quality of our response to the needs of our people, but the character of our resolve to work together, putting others before ourselves, confident in the choice we have made and committed to face our challenge boldly. In these few words, Honorable Speaker, the committee supports the adoption of the APP 1920 and the budget vote for the Office of the Premier. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Montwana. Honorable Tate Butswe, we have 11 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, Committee EFF, Mobukoni Bupirima, members of the Executive Council, members of the Provincial Legislature, Dona Kholo ya rona Mobukoni Bupirima, Professor Ntate Mogolo Job Mokoro, Baagi ba Bokoni Bupirima, dikgosi tsa lona tsa rona re a le dumedisa re le tlhompile. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier is the apex center of the authority and leadership in the Northwest Province. It's an office that is constitutionally mandated to lead men and women who constitute the Executive Council of the province. Whoever leads this Executive Council should be someone who is beyond reproach. This person ought to have gone through the necessary stages of development which prepare him or her to lead the people of its province. Leadership as a social construct has many dimensions. They are leaders with noble ideas when they enter offices, but loses the vision and quality of leadership as power and trappings of the public office multiplies. History teaches us that Julius Caesar was a good leader until he allowed personal ambitions to come before the goals of the collective. His journey of leadership ended with him being killed by his own comrade. Like Julius Caesar, Napoleon's ambitious of expanding the territory of France and not honoring agreement with other European powers reigned his leadership of the French Empire. Shaka Zulu, autocratic style of leadership resulted in his assassination by his own inner circle. The former premier was a greedy man who wanted to use an iron fist and fear to control more than 3.9 million people of his province. Like many of the leaders mentioned above, he was rejected by the objective conditions which were prevailing. He was blinded by the trappings of power to the extent of failing to discern when the balance of power has shifted against his kleptocratic styles of leadership. Today, the once mighty powerful Jesus Supramahumapelo has lost his power and has been demoted as a mere chairperson of portfolio committee. That is power. At some point, it makes you think that you are omnipresent and untouchable. Sir Acton Lord once said, I quote, "Power corrupt and absolutely power corrupt absolutely," close quote. Honorable Speaker, the current Premier of the Northwest Province ought to strive to emulate servant leaders like Julius Nyerere, Joe Slovo, Samora Machel, Chris Hani, to mention few. He should be able to mitigate the effect of poverty in many townships and villages in the Northwest Province. He should be brave enough to table the report on the present and the former leaders in the province who are implicated in an act of corruption. He should be humble to such an extent whereby he is able to accept his own participation in an act of wrongdoing, if there's any. He should be of a firm character and be able to whip the members of the Executive Council who are found to be transgressed in the law. Baba Gozondo Commission. He should equally tell no lies and claim no easy victory. The Premier should take advice and equally know when it is right to stand up as a leader and take decision, whether good or bad. As long as such decision advance the cause of improving the lives of the ordinary people in the province.
5 minutes left.
Honorable Speaker, in a nutshell, the EFF urge the Premier to stand up, be the leader he ought to be, and stop roaming around the corridors of his offices complaining to staff members about how much he is not coping. Honorable Speaker, it must be worth noting that even though the life of our people have been entrusted with the Premier of ours, he can't take responsible action in protecting his own life and office space. The recent breaks-ins in the office of the Premier is a clear indication that the Premier is not serious about governance. We have been reliably briefed that the series of break-ins has been taking place recently in the office of the Premier, with more focus on the HR sector of his office. All cameras in the office of the Premier are not working, irrespective of it being a national key point. They are just part of some practical example of the type of person who have been entrusted the life of our people with. He can enforce his own personal security, but claim to be ready to challenge the social security ills. He is forever tired in our meetings, and even end up sleeping here in the Honorable House, which is direct insult to the people of this province. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, the EFF would like to table a range of tasks to the Premier to fulfill, of which failure for him to do will just confirm the ongoing street accusation that the province has created another accident of history. Honorable Speaker, the first order of the new Premier is to ensure that Section 100 in the province deliver on its mandate and the powers of the province are retained as we are nearing the end of 18 months of intervention. The Premier should table a turnaround strategy on all municipalities in the province. It's known that the local spheres of government in the province has a major challenges of leadership. Not even a single municipality in the province received a clean audit opinion from the AG office. There should be no holy cows in cleaning up campaign of municipalities. Municipal managers who are not qualified should be fired with immediate effect. Chief financial officers who are not qualified should be fired with immediate effect. All directors and senior managers who are not qualified should be equally be fired with immediate effect. All mayors implicated in VBS scandal should be shown the door without any delay. A report on all incomplete human settlement projects should be tabled in this August House. Investigation of corrupt and incomplete projects should be established with immediate effect. All areas with challenges of water provision and sanitation should be prioritized. The public discussion on the national health insurance should be initiated by the Premier and be led by the respective MEC. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the Premier is a coordinating and monitoring center should demand an economic growth and job creation strategy from relevant departments in the province. The job creation strategy should have target and turnaround time. Premier should demand to see with the naked eye special economic zone, industrial park, and total number of jobs that have been created. The Premier should tell the August House in his 100 days report on how the Department of Rural Development have been used to mitigate the effect of poverty and unemployment in the rural area. The Department of Public Works and Roads should table a report on the infrastructure development will be used both to create employment and improve our roads, dams, buildings, and beyond. This useless and insultive program called EPWP. Honorable Speaker, the EFF believe that if the current government believes that the EPWP program is genuine, then recruitment program beyond those interventional work program must be established to give our people proper job with the skills they have acquired during the time in the same EPWP. Premier should be firm on the MEC of Community Safety and Transport so that the Mafikeng Airport start functioning expected and the community structures become effective. The Department of Social Development, Department of Education, Culture and Traditional Affairs should also present plans on how they intend to do things differently and accelerate service delivery to the masses of the people. For an example, MEC of Social Development should be in the position by now to inform the Premier on how she intends to utilize the department research unit to reach families in township that are qualified to be of the poverty alleviation program. The MEC should present a plan on how social workers should be distributed in township and village to help struggling families. Local artists should not be neglected and report on the development of Mabana Center in all municipalities should also be part of the Premier 100 days report. Finally, a plan on improvement of security in schools should be tabled and school sports programs should equally be made part of the program. Iske ya nna gape fela puo ya molomo mme ka ntlheng ya ditiro go bo go pala. Ka di 27 le kokole le golang thata la EFF le tsabe le tshwara dingwaga di le 6. Premier of the Northwest Province, MEC members of the Northwest, rally invite go tla go celebrate a milestone ya 6 years. Thank you very
much, Honorable Butswe, Honorable Rabotapi. We have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Dikosi, Honorable Premier, Honorable Dikosi, honorable members of the House, I greet you all. Honorable Speaker, so far, Premier Mokoro's tenure has been ablaze with the scorching factionalism that is plaguing the ANC. The recent uprisings in the municipalities of Tswaying, Ditsobota, and Naledi clearly exposes the fault lines separating the so-called President Ramaphosa faction from the former President Zuma and former Premier Mahumapelo faction. Subsequent to the collapse of services in this province last year, along with former Premier Mahumapelo's earlier retirement, it was clear that breaking point has been reached. Premier Mokoro was then elected as a compromise candidate in a desperate attempt to restore stability to Northwest. So far, this has failed. Honorable Premier, during your State of the Province address, you indicated your determination to root out corruption. Sadly, soon after it came to light that you yourself, as well as MEC for Public Works and Roads, MEC Molapisi, have allegedly been implicated in the dubious SA Express deal signed with the Department of Community Safety and Transport Management in 2015. Speaker, although we welcome the Premier's undertaking to cooperate with the state capture inquiry, we are concerned that no decisions regarding the future of MEC Molapisi has been made known. In the face of condemning allegations of kickbacks paid to the MEC to the tune of 700,000 to seal the deal between Department of Community Safety and Transport Management and SA Express, the Premier has not even considered suspending MEC Molapisi until the contrary is proven. It is therefore our contention that the Premier should have taken drastic steps against any suspect corruption within his Executive Council if he was indeed serious about fighting corruption and protecting the interests of the people of this province. Speaker, with that being said, we can only hope that the programs implemented by the Office of the Premier will be transparent and to the benefit of the people. But unfortunately, past performance indicates that it will not. To this end, we will be keeping a close eye on programs such as the Youth Entrepreneurship Services. Yes, the Province Bursary Scheme to ensure that youth benefit fairly. These programs promise to enable the youth by developing scarce skills and growing youth-owned and managed enterprises. Sadly, the first bump in the road to youth empowerment already appeared in the Office of the Premier's annual performance plan. It is stipulated that the corporate plan of years needs to be adopted, but a board has not yet been established. A concept document has been developed to clarify how the project will unfold, but nothing has been presented to the relevant portfolio committee. At this rate, it is unlikely that this project will see the light of day in this financial year. Speaker, the amount of 14.7 million has been moved from the Department of Social Development to the Office of the Premier for special programs for women, youth, and people with disabilities. We are of the view that the Office of the Premier, through its monitoring function, is best suited to play oversight and monitoring on the functions of all other departments and not get involved with the day-to-day running of these special programs. In response to questions posed by Portfolio Committee on the APP, it was stated that they are merely talking queue from Office of the President. On special programs, this will, however, not suffice, as in the Office of the President, there is a minister responsible for these special programs. Speaker, we have noted that the amount of 46.9 million has been set aside to upgrade the mainframe HCI backup solution, replacement of redundant furniture and office equipment and computers, including outdated information technology equipment. 5 minutes left. Although it is unclear what portion of this 46.9 million will be utilized for the upgrade of the mainframe, we do know that in the past 10 years, the mainframe has been upgraded at least once. This warrants the question whether another upgrade is really justified. We further know that there is another mainframe at the State of Information Technology Agency in Pretoria, which is a central point where all government information technology is managed, but Northwest inherited its own mainframe from the former Buputatswana administration. A financial application designed for mainframes called Walker Account System is used on the Northwest mainframe to process and keep record of payments of all Northwest government transactions. But the basic accounting system running on the CETA mainframe in Pretoria performs the same function. Speaker, the Walker system has not been phased out, resulting in the allocation of 2 payments to 2 systems executing similar tasks. Due to the implementation of BAS, the Walker system is now being used to maintain the legacy data, which should be ported to BAS, but this has never transpired. This begs the question whether Northwest has a need for a mainframe at all. We are of a view that funds should be allocated to port the data from Walker to BAS, rather than upgrading the mainframe. Speaker, since Premier Mokoro came into office last year, June, not a single forensic report has been tabled in this House. His talk is cheap, and it is starting to sound like a scare tactic, all talk and no action. We welcome the fact that the office will have a court watch, but there is more that needs to be explained on how this plan will operationalize. Where the DA governs, we found programs that improve people's lives. It will therefore be difficult for us to approve a budget that is not people-centered. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rabotapi. Honorable Midupi, you have 7 minutes. Order, honorable members.
Honorable Speaker, Medanji, Honorable Premier Tebogo Job Mokoro, the honorable members of the Executive Committee of the Council, members of the Provincial Legislature, Mahosi Arona, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Speaker, allow me to say, before I could continue with my debate, the allegation that has been leveled to the Honorable Professor Mokoro by the EFF that the Premier is sleeping during our sessions, that we have never observed as the African National Congress. And to me, it is a fallacy. And the EFF try to exaggerate. On the matter that has been raised, on the allegation that has been raised by the DA, about the matter of Honorable Judge Zondo Commission, on Judge Zondo Commission, the public should not be misled, Bagaetsu. There's never been any single direct implication of corruption against the Premier. So, nekere Bagaetsu, riske ra dira yalo, le ga re batla go ka gaina seemo, ga se mokgwa o siameng o. The Judge Zondo has never pronounced himself on the allegation. Let's wait up until that has been tested, the reality has been tested. So, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, it pleases me and it will forever be a joy for me to be invited to this.
Honorable Midupi, please hold on. Honorable Rabotapi.
The latter speaker is actually quoting me out of context.
I don't remember Honorable Rabotapi. All the honorable members, I don't remember Honorable Mudupi quoting you. She was speaking to some of the things that you have said, but there's a difference between speaking on issues and quoting somebody. She has never quoted you, Honorable Rabotapi, so the order is not sustained. Honorable Mudupi, may you please proceed?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Listening is a skill. I understand. Honorable Speaker, it pleases me and it will forever be a joy for me to be invited to this podium and represent the African National Congress to take part in this debate on the Premier's Office Annual Performance Plan for 2019-2020. The ANC derives its mandate from the people in our various communities, from the four corners of our province, in our villages, townships, cities, factory floors, centers of worship, the institution of learning and research. Honorable Speaker, since 1994, we have seen sustained growth, tripling the size of economy and improving the GPD per capita. Sustained growth has been crucial for enabling redistribution of public resources to meet the basic social needs of our people. Honorable Speaker, the year 2018 saw continuous civil protests which took place in Mahikeng and most parts of the province, following the destruction of Mabana Foundation building, and an amount of 10 million is set aside and will go towards repair of Mahikeng Regional Office, and work has already commenced. This shows that the ANC government is not just talking, but walking the talk.
4 minutes left.
We have noted the commitment to support local and emerging farmers through Ilima Letsema program and comprehensive agriculture support, which will fair share on 3.9 billion allocated to the farming industry through the Land Bank. Honorable Speaker, tourism is one of the cornerstones of the economy in our province. We need to re-look into how we best advance the Northwest into being center of attraction of research, business, leisure, and entertainment. The previous administration had advocated for the reparation of the well-known Taung skull. The ANC the sixth administration must bring back the skull home and conclude the arrangement in order to improve the Taung skull heritage site after losing Maruping and cradle of humankind to the province of Gauteng. We cannot afford to lose our rich heritage to our province. The restoration and declaration of Kaditshweni should be done and official heritage site, it should be pronounced as an official heritage site. Honorable Speaker, the ANC welcomes the partnership with the National Department of Tourism to realize the long-awaiting completion of the two strategic tourism infrastructure projects in the capital Mafikeng and Manyani Game Lodge and Letlamorin Dam. As Colvin College said, all growth depends upon activities. There is no development physically or intellectually without efforts, and effort means work. The ANC government is on the move, and we are working to put the interest of our people first. Honorable Speaker, the ANC, we welcome pronouncement made by the Premier to champion economic growth and transformation through agriculture to accelerate job creation in line with the State of the Nation address that committed working towards a set target of 300 jobs within the agricultural value chain. We need to revive agriculture in farming communities of Galexpan, 8 Cake, Mooifontein, Sannishof, Setlagole, Vryburg, and all other fertile land of the beautiful province of the Northwest. Honorable Speaker, opportunity will be created through infrastructure development. We need a finalization on the Bob recording studio and see how this project might work in favor of our artists and communities. Honorable Member, as a water scarce province, we must be at the forefront in championing the protection of our environment. The effects of climate change are becoming severe to our lives and the environment. The time has come for us to start planting trees, look after our rivers, monitor littering in our communities, promote recycling, and guard against all the carbon emission. Honorable
I've not said anything. Oh.
Honourable Speaker, all the provincial departments have obligation to make sure that they achieve all the goals set out on the annual performance plan. All departments must make sure they receive unqualified audit opinion. Above all, let our people receive services, and all this will request only from the political head of the department, but from all the government employees. Honourable Premier, don't give up. The beginning has started already. The beginning is always the hardest. Life rewards those who work hard at it. Stand firm against crime, corruption, defeat all elements of maladministration and collusion and nepotism. Honourable members, honourable members, as we serve our people, let us be guided by the Franklin Roosevelt. Let us never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. The ultimate ruler of our democracy are not president and senators and congressmen and government officials, but the voters of our country. Honourable Speaker, the African National Congress support the adoption of the budget and of the Office of the Premier. Together we move Northwest forward.
Thank you. Honourable Nell. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, Honourable Premier, fellow members. The FF Plus, we welcome the recommendations as resolved by the Portfolio Committee, specifically the recommendation which states that quarterly reporting regarding forensic investigations ought to be submitted to the Portfolio Committee for proper oversight. We are, however, concerned about the flow of information in the province, the flow and access to information between departments and municipalities. The dire state of the province calls for strong leadership, strong intergovernmental relations. Departments are working in silos, isolation. Departments are not talking to each other. Communication information are important, it's a commodity. Speaking about communication information, will the rapid response team interact with opposition parties? And how will it happen? The FF Plus are worried about past performance of the department. A turnaround in this department is imperative. It's imperative for the future of the people of our province. Dankie, Keleboga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nel. Honorable Tswaile. You have 7 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, Mesusana Danchi, Honorable Premier Prof. Mokoro, our dearest beloved traditional leadership, protocol observed. It is not an easy task to stand before your August House and perform this mammoth task assigned to me by African National Congress. Nevertheless, we are determined to do as we have been assigned. Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that EFF has literally repeated Premier's speech as if it is EFF concerns when such issues have already been raised in the address by the Premier. The Speaker spoke as if he's a shadow Premier of EFF. His mistake is not to recognize Premier as embodiment of wisdom, experience, and most progressive fatherly figure necessary to preside over transition. Premier, you must know, they must know now, Honorable Speaker, that he is a symbol of academic excellence and hold extensive hands-on experience in public service, and that DA and EFF's joint capacities cannot come close to his experience. Premier continues to show highest appetite and capacity to lead ANC and government, and we have no doubt on his strengths. It doesn't seem DA knows and understands how the alteram partem rule as a principle when they have already arrived at the conclusion that the Premier is guilty. Honorable Speaker, let me borrow the wise counsel from J.F. Kennedy, a president assassinated whilst the head of state in the USA. He echoed these timeless words, I quote, "In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it, and glow from that fire can truly light the world. Honorable Speaker, I wish not to shrink from taking this responsibility to advocate for a better life for our people. This means that it is our task as the public representative to rise together in unison to tackle the triple challenges of inequality, unemployment, and poverty. In seeking to execute NDR, we have not anticipated the scourge of crime and corruption that undermines strides made since the dawn of democracy and overshadow good deliverables being made by our government. Honorable Speaker, the evoked Section 100, which put Northwest Under Administration, has determined that the intervention's key deliverables should include, amongst others, effective implementation of Section 100 intervention plans, clean governance and institutional capacity, improved service delivery and public accountability, which the Premier have articulated very well on his speech. Those key deliverables have found expression in the Premier's Program 3, key deliverables for purpose of their monitoring and evaluation. Once we receive both AG's report on this intervention and Premier's report on and around September showing interventions performance, this legislature would pronounce on its posture and resolve on way forward, because intervention cannot be made permanent. Whereas we support it, it should come to an end. We would be the first to open criminal cases against the administrators should they also add. We will engage relevant NCOP Select Committee to determine a way forward. Honorable Speaker, the plans of the Premier for financial year 2019-20 give us hope that tomorrow will be better than yesterday and today. We appreciate fearlessness and determination shown by the Premier in leading sustained and concerted efforts to defeat corruption in the provincial administration, as evidenced by a multiplicity of corruption cases being processed emanating from Northwest Provincial Government irregular activities. The ANC has confidence in the Premier's capacity to lead successfully the battle against corruption, which is a societal problem also affecting government. We accepted that it was under the previous Premier's administration and leadership that we ended up in Section 100. The Premier did not waste time. He immediately moved to make sure that the Premier's office is not an implementing office. The Honorable Speaker, following SONA 2019 announcement by His Excellency President Ramaphosa to establish new investigative directorate in the office of NPA, in March 2019, President proclaimed its establishment, and its mandate is for investigation and prosecution of common law offenses, which include fraud, forgery, uttering, theft, and any offense involving dishonesty, and also statutory offenses, including but not limited to contraventions of PFMA, MFMA, FICA, Prevention of Organized Crime Act, and PCCA. Honorable Speaker, the entrepreneurs masquerading as public servants, particularly those in supply chain management and the administrative and political principals, cannot be allowed any longer to manipulate government procurement system for their own benefits and those of